dancers! It's Teacher Lina. Today I'm going to be doing a topic about how you can memorize your steps better. I really wanted to do this because some of my adult students are asking me how can they memorize ballet steps better. I'm sure each person has a different technique, and I'm not saying that these techniques would work for you. I mean, do what works for you. I'd love to hear what works for you down on the comment section below. But here are maybe some tips that might help you. When you memorize a combination, I think the initial struggle comes from like an overwhelming amount of steps. I know that because I can see it in my students' faces, especially when they're starting. They look at everything as a whole and forget to see the pattern. Try to always slow things down. Exercises are always slower than you think, and they always have a pattern. Unless maybe you're a little more advanced, then your teacher tries to mix up the counts. Like, for example, teachers, especially when you're a little more advanced, you go, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2. And teachers love to do that as you get more advanced. But basically, when you're a beginner or when you're in the basics of ballet, there is always a pattern to the counts. So if you listen to the way your teacher is counting, also you'll hear where they're putting the notes in, if it's an accent in or an accent out. Try to get to know this. The more you take class and the more you'll get used to it for sure. And each teacher has their own style, and you will get this with the more practice you do. Again, with those counts, I often see my students mimicking the words. Like, I see some of my students go 1, 2, 2, 3, and I'm sure you can relate so well. And you know what? That's very common. But I would say this is a really good tip also, to mimic or to try to say the words but not out loud. So I know you say it out loud, but I would practice saying it in your head. Saying the words in your head, 1 and 4 and 1, 2, really helps you also get the pattern. As someone who's been dancing professionally, and you know, teachers hate this. Teachers really hate it when you start mouthing the words, because it becomes a habit that you bring to your dancing, and it becomes really funny because let's say you're doing a tendu, for example, and you're standing up and you're going 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, instead of saying it in your head, because you'll be able to move your head more freely if you were just counting in your head, and it's more relaxed rather than. It's not a good habit to have. So dancers I think trying to say the combination is a really good tip for first timer especially. The second tip I have is doing the actual thing. I see a lot of students not doing the exercise. They just watch their teacher, and teachers also hate this. Because when you watch it, it's different. You're not a computer or a USB that can just copy, save, and paste things. You really have to do it in order for your body to also absorb it. And there is like a thought process to that also. And you know, you can count your steps better if you're doing it also. And the more you do it, you absorb it. And think of it as it's also a pre-practice to your actual practice. So marking the steps is a good idea. A next tip would be, if you were marking your step, do not mark your arms. My teacher would always note this to me, and I still do this until now. If I would be taking a class, I would never mark my arms. It's always a good idea to do your arms full out, even if your legs are just marking that's fine. But everything else, you can move your upper body better, you know, or let's say plie, yeah. And well, now that you do your arms properly and you do your head properly and you're able to count and you're able to say the steps, it's also a lot easier for your body to do it again. There are those moments though that when the music plays, you definitely forget everything, but then it comes back to you. Again, it's like more of just muscle memory and doing and redoing. My third tip would be, besides saying the steps and besides doing it or marking it on the side, would be probably singing it with the music. That's why I think teachers like to use, or pianists maybe, or we really like to use music that's familiar. Like for kids, I love to use music that they know, because it does help with the movement. Like if you know the music, you can really da-da-dum. Yeah, for example, it's Romeo and Juliet, and you can kind of sing it da-da-dum, da-da-dum, plie, da-dum, da 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 da. Or if you were in center work, for example, and you knew the music, it's a lot easier to kind of go na 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 or tombe paribrita yaram, and I don't know, I like to sing the music, so maybe that's a little more advanced than the other two steps. But maybe when you're a little more familiar with the way that ballet patterns work, or the steps in the patterns work during the class combinations, you will have a better also way of absorbing the steps. Some people do have better memorization skills than others. I do feel that kids who do a little more sports, actually my skaters in my ballet class are really good in absorbing steps, and they can easily get patterns and combinations. Also, kids who play musical instruments or have played musical instruments, they're so quick to absorb, and that's something I've noticed. So I do think that it does change your brain to take ballet, and again, I really recommend that video from the Royal Ballet if you're ever interested in learning more. But again, there's always a pattern. So if you are a beginner starting out and you really want to help yourself memorize steps better, you will know. The more you take ballet class, there is a certain pattern to the way the teacher is giving the steps, and sometimes it's different forward and going reverse, but there is always a pattern. There's always a pattern. We don't think without pattern, because music has these patterns also, and it would make no sense if we would kind of just go against that. It's kind of like watching a random person just moving any way they want without listening to the music, and you'd probably be really irritated watching this person if they were not dancing with the music. So there. So those are my 3 tips. I hope that help you memorize your combinations better. My tip number 2 is really my favorite, because I love doing steps, and on the side, when your teacher is showing it, I would say really try to mimic what your teacher is doing. With that being said, I really loved staying near the teacher when I was dancing before, because I could really see from the front or to the side or to the back what the teacher was doing and how they wanted to do it. So try to absorb that, and for the start, I would really try to absorb first the steps before absorbing different types of corrections. Like, take it slowly. If you are not yet familiar with dance, just try to get the movement first. And then later on, when your teacher is going into more detail, that's when you try to absorb what he or she is trying to make you do. For example, if they want your plie, normally a correction for a plie would be it has to be deep, your heel should be down, all your toes on the floor, and long butt, you have a pull up, shoulders are relaxed. So these little details, they'll come after. But in the start, in your back bar class, your ballet class, just try to take it easy, step by step, memorize first, get the movement, and the best, go to ballet class. You want to get better? You really need a lot of practice, and it takes a lot of muscle memory and, you know, training your brain to do this before it translates into your body. So I do hope that these tips help and help you memorize your steps better, especially now that a lot of your dance classes are in an online setting. It might be a nice time to kind of give yourself some time to experiment and try different things and really get yourself out of the box and be a little more confident. So I hope that those tips help, and this is again Teacher Lina, Speak Dance by Lina, Dance by Lina Dancewear. I hope that these set of tips helped you, and we hope to see you in our next dance video. Bye, dancers!